Saru got some new bling. Book is seeing ghosts, and the USS Discovery flies into a giant eyeball. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
What's up, everybody?
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today, we're doing a review of Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 2, entitled Anomaly. That anomaly looks like a giant eyeball. I don't know why I made you guys laugh so hard, but I'm glad it did. We are joined by Malissa Longo today. Hello, Malissa.
Hello. Hello. That was a song.
A giant eyeball? That's what you thought? I thought it looked kind of like a walnut. I don't know. Walnut.
It looks like an eyeball to me.
An eyeball? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, when they pulled out and you could see the whole anomaly, it looks like an eyeball to me.
Yeah. All right. That's the first question of the day for everybody. When you watched this episode and you saw them pull out, did you think eyeball or did you think walnut or C, other? What?
It's a good one. Good one.
Lisa's got a case of the giggles. Too many Cheerios this morning. That's when I get giggly. It's from the Cheerios.
Oh, those Cheerios.
Mm-hmm.
Or the lack of raisins in my Raisin Bran.
Oh, that's the good stuff, though, is the raisins. Nobody wants
It
to just
is the
eat
good
bran.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to eat bran.
Only 3 raisins in my Raisin Bran. And it's just...
So this episode was a lot like the first one in that it drops us right into a bunch of action immediately, right? And Melissa, last week you were talking about how they dropped you into the middle of the action at first. Did you notice a difference? Was it easier for you to catch up or keep up with it, or was it the same?
It felt the same. The tone felt pretty much the same as the first episode to me. Yeah. Action, and then pep talks for everyone.
Yeah, action, pep talk.
Action,
I would
Neural
say that,
peptide cake with mint frosting.
neuropeptide. It seems like that's what they've decided that they want to do in this show. And they feel as though they need to get your attention with action. And ironically, I feel like a lot of the Star Trek, early Star Trek, didn't have as much action. They kind of built up to the action a lot slower than we're seeing in the pace today.
Mm-hmm.
I remember stories being like, they're talking about the war, it's coming, they'll be here in any minute now, it's 24 hours from now, there's 10 minutes left. In fact, there was always this buildup. And then, hold on, he wants to talk to you. It might be a last minute reprieve. You never know. But it was always a buildup. And now I think that they feel they want to get the audience's attention, like with action, as opposed to, with these conversations, with this dialogue, with this kind of backstory about who's what and what's going on. I get a lot less of those backstory moments than usual. And you know what? I wanted to say that one of the things I think is missing for me in this series or in this show, at least in the, recently, but in general, is a space in which these characters can get together like a mess hall.
Quark's bar.
And they kind of
you want a
like
Quark's bar.
Yeah. I need a Quark's bar. I need like a promenade. I need to see these characters outside of just pressure situations and just right. I want to see them eating together and cracking jokes with each other, or talking about their problems, or like abandoning their whole families and everything they ever knew. Having those kind of conversations in more personal moments.
Yeah, and being involved in situations that reveal relationship and have those relationships reveal character, and have those character and relationships drive the story. Right now, it feels like you said last night, everyone gets a medal, but it's, I need more than everyone gets a medal, because in life, not everyone gets a medal. Life isn't fair.
Bite your
it's
tongue.
not.
Well, I'm going to push back a little bit on that, just because when you said we don't have a chance to see the character relationships develop, I think we see a lot of that, but we see them always in these, these more high pressure and these serious situations. And it's almost always one-on-one, which is also very Star Trek. But what is missing is, like you guys are saying, is like the moment where they let their hair down, they let loose, they hang out and have, Bashir and O'Brien having a beer, the senior staff playing poker on the Next Generation, these moments, they're like, you get really good character information in that way too, right? Where they're hanging, we find out what they fantasize about, what they like, what they love, what they fear. And we did get that in like the first season and a little bit in the second season. In the mess hall, there were some scenes like that. There was a party scene, I think, in the middle of the first season. There was like a party scene, where they're dancing and making out, and Tilly was getting crazy.
I need more of that. That's 3 seasons ago.
Point.
It's like,
yeah, that would be fun.
I feel like I haven't gotten these characters together outside of the one-on-one. So Saru and Burnham will have a moment, and Tilly and Burnham will have a moment, and Culber will have a moment with Stamets. But and this one we saw Stamets had a moment now with Book, and it felt like they've never even talked to each other up until then.
Yeah, I mean, those, but the moments are the way the dialogue goes. It doesn't feel, and I'm sorry, people, I love Star Trek. I don't hate Discovery, but it doesn't feel genuine. The timing is, when they have these discussions, is not, there's something off. I mean, in certain moments, there's the ship is exploding, there's fire coming out of the walls, and they're in another dire situation, but they're having these casual conversations while the ship is exploding. It's like there's a time and place for these relationship building moments, and they're not choosing the opportune times to have them, and it's too on the nose, some of these conversations that they're having as well. I don't know. It's I liked Book and his reactions to the loss of his family. I felt that was pretty honest. And Tilly, her reaction to Adira when she snapped at her, I think that was an honest reaction. And I don't think that you can wrap it up in a neat little bow and say, okay, we've had a pep talk and now everything is fixed, because it's not. I mean, and that's what it feels like for Detmer too. She was supposedly suffering from PTSD last season, but now she's fine. So there's certain things that I'm like, okay, you're addressing these certain issues, but you're kind of glossing over everything. You're not diving deep. You're not getting to the core, the root of what's going on with these people
yet. And actually when I saw the scene where Tilly snapped at Adira and then kind of realized it afterwards, it reminded me of Captain Picard, when I don't remember the episode, but Riker said something. Picard was all flustered, like the English Frenchman that he is. And he goes, I don't want excuses, number one, I want answers. And then Riker looks at him like, what's your damn problem? And Picard immediately goes, I'm sorry. And I'm like, that is the cutest thing in the world. Picard just snapped at him and apologized right away. So I don't know how it really connected that for me, but when I saw that, it did remind me of that. And when you said it just now, it did remind me of that. And I wish that we were all like that, to where when we snap at somebody, we kind of realize it pretty quickly and, apologize for it or make amends. do you think that, because you're mentioning how some of the relationships feel real to you, right? Like the way, Book reacted, the way Tilly reacted. Do you feel that the connection between Michael Burnham and Saru feels genuine to you?
I do.
Yeah.
To me, it feels genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I enjoy her relationship with Saru, and I enjoy her relationship with Book.
Mm-hmm.
And Tilly.
Yeah, and then that's what I feel like they haven't expanded on the other characters. I like this guy who plays Lieutenant Bryce. There's something about him that the camera likes.
Ronnie Rowe.
Mr. Ronnie Rowe. And he's actually from Toronto, Canada. So shout out to T.O. T.O.
Oh, Terrell Owens.
No, the other one. But yes, I feel like his character, like I don't know enough about him. I don't know enough about. I don't. Do he leave his family behind? Do he have a girlfriend?
Right.
I don't know anything about him, and it seems like these people have left everything they know behind. And if you leave everything you know behind, and you are only in this group of people, then that group would be the tightest group of people you have, because that's all you know. That's your whole family. There's nothing outside of that. So I would expect that to see a lot more interplay between these characters, because they are all they have, right? That all they have is each other. So who else is Detmer going to be talking to if it's not Lieutenant Bryce or another character?
Right.
Yeah. So it feels like they've done a great job of building out Burnham's relationship. I feel like they've expanded on the Book and Burnham relationship. They've really kind of sold us that. I believe that. I think that it seems real to me.
Mm-hmm.
And their scenes kind of reflect the chemistry they have together. She makes certain faces and certain reactions that she doesn't do with everybody else.
Right.
Kind of a vulnerability of a relationship, kind of like, certain things she'll swallow her words on some things, she'll roll her eyes on some things, and that's typical of people that are involved in a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that interplay between the two of them. What I have a difficult time buying is the rest of the crew and how they've been impacted by this journey. It's like, hey, we're gonna go over there. All right, sure, we're gonna go over there. All right, fine. You have to say bye to your family. You'll never see them again. Oh, that's fine. You're going to send you 1,000 years into the future. Yeah, sure. All right. And nobody has like you said, this kind of PTSD or some kind of issues that they're working out. And I don't feel like they're working them out hard enough. It's just on to the next one and adventure.
No, I was going to say, they're getting more lines on the bridge, but it's all more technobabble, and it doesn't reveal character at all. And I want to feel a connection to these bridge crew. I mean, we're on this journey with them, and I would like to be on the journey with them, but I don't have the connection with them because I don't know anything about them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, their role on the show is certainly to be very tertiary. They're very much, in the first season, they were practically featured background, then they started giving a few lines, then a few more, and we are getting to watch them grow, because I think for me and for most people, since season 1, I've been curious about them. I've wanted to know more about them. And they're giving us just a tiny bit. And what I would love is if they adopted a little bit more of what, say, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager would do, which is every once in a while, you kind of get a Detmer episode, or every episode you get a Bryce episode. And that would be really cool. I mean, we got an Arium episode, but that was the episode in leading up to killing her off, So we did get to, that was kind of like a Game of Thrones style where you just finally get attached to a character and they rip it out from you. But I would love, since the first season, because they've created these interesting characters, and each one of them, you want to know their story, and you're interested in them, and the actor. Each actor portrays the character in such a way that there's a little nugget of something interesting there that you get curious about. And I would love to know more about that. I mean, we know, say, Detmer had PTSD. We know that Ariam had, the things that went on with her in the second season. Owassican, we know that, what was it? She was like a swimmer, back home, back in the day. We learned that in the third season. So we're learning a little bit by bit, but yeah, it'd be great if we got more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I need more.
Yeah, there's so much potential for them to grow, and to go somewhere, because the show isn't just about Burnham. You know what I mean?
Oh, bite your tongue, Melissa. Bite your tongue.
Yeah, no, but it can't be just about Burnham.
I mean, every Star Trek show is not just about its captain or its leader. It's always about the collective. It's about the group. It's never about one person.
Right. It's about the family and the relationships in those family and the dynamics and how they change within that family from one person to another. The way Kira was with Sisko is not the way Sisko was with Dax, but if we had a Dax episode, we still knew that Kira, that Freudian slip. No, we still knew that Captain Sisko was in charge. If it was a Riker episode, we still know that Picard is the one leading the ship. So I don't think we have to have Burnham be the one who saves the day all the time. Let the other people be part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
To solving the problem.
So what you're saying is you want more Osnolus. Osnolus. That's the alien in the very far background of your character next to Adira. Obviously, Melissa, everybody knows that's the Osnolus.
Everybody knows, yeah. No, you have a Owassican who has a great storyline. I don't know anything about Lieutenant General Reese. Is that his name?
Yes.
Patrick Chun.
Yeah, and we know that he took the captain's chair for the first time. So that's interesting. He's now we know that he's basically the senior officer out of these officers that we're talking about. So if Burnham and Saru are not on the bridge, looks like he's going to be the one sitting in the captain's chair. So that's really interesting. And I would love and I would love to know what his, even if nothing else, give me a few more scenes to see what his acting style is. Like, remember the very first time Saru took over as captain, before he was even officially captain, when there was a moment where he realized he's the captain, or somebody said, "You're the captain now." And he had his own style. He said, "Okay." And he starts pointing at people. He said, "Mr. Bryce, you do this. And Owassican, you do." And he had this pointing motion. He's just kind of started going about things like that. And I'm like, wow, that's a really interesting way. And he was standing up and doing it. And it's really cool. And I want to see what his acting style or what his captain style is, because I bet he's got some flavor to him in there.
Well, even Tilly had her own captain style when she took the chair. So,
And I think you made a point, Melissa, last time we were talking about this. You mentioned the mirror universe. And I feel like when they went into the mirror universe, they developed these characters more than they are
in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Well,
I got more out of these other characters in the mirror universe. I mean, that's where I felt like I learned a lot about some of these characters, right? I mean, especially like Owassican, she got a whole big role.
Yeah, she was ruthless.
Tilly was huge in the mirror universe. And so you got to see the development of these other characters in this other universe. I want to see that same effort and energy into the regular universe.
Well, and then you got to see a little bit more of the different alien species and how they their characteristics in the mirror universe when they visited that one planet with the Klingon, the one that led, and I can't remember any of the names, but you still got, there was an Andorian there, and I think there was an Andorian and a Vulcan and a Klingon, and they're working together against the whatever Giorgio's empire was. They were fighting against them. I mean, that's something that there's character in there. There's layers, and each of those species approach the problem differently and bringing their own perspectives. And I think that's what I'm missing too, is different perspective and how people solve problems. And Star Trek has always been wonderful at highlighting how you learn from each other's differences to come to the solutions, of the betterment of everyone. It's not all pep talks and
the attitude there. Yeah, the attitude. I remember Sisko telling Nog to basically shut up when he was suggesting, like, hey, I think Captain, what about this? He's like, this isn't a discussion.
It wasn't the time. It wasn't the time.
Yeah. And even Worf is, he's shut Worf up and said, shut up and get out of here. And to me, the drama in that, right, of not always being so friendly and nice and, if you would please, and maybe in the whole respectability, I think there needs to be more attitude, talk back. We get a lot of that from what's her name, which we don't see anymore. But what was her character? The Reno.
Jet Reno, yeah, Tig Notaro's character. Right.
She had a lot of spice to her talk back game, right? She was like, a little bit like.
I'm sure we'll see her.
I'm sure we'll see her again, but what I mean is the way they wrote that, like she was not always going along. Sometimes she would, say something that would be against the grain, and I feel like they need more against the grain type of moments from these characters where they're not just always sharing each other's feelings and giving words of wisdom. I think I wrote down, how we choose to spend our life. These are the kinds of sentences that, how we choose to spend our moments. People don't really talk like this in these personal settings. You do, Brian. Well,
the
rest of us talk.
Do you think the change there came because maybe there was a change there? Because if I remember correctly, in the first 3 seasons, Michael Burnham was defiant. She was defiant against every single authoritative figure there was. Now that she is the authoritative figure on the ship, look, and even then there was a president above her, and she was defiant against that president. But now that she's the captain of the ship, she was the defiant person on the ship. So now that she's the captain,
they need another person to replace that.
Yes. Right. We don't get that conflict anymore because the defiant person is now in charge. So everybody else is like, oh, cool. And we're like, no, somebody be defiant. They're like, no, we're good. We're going to go fly into that big eyeball.
Well,
maybe that's what it is.
But I do. Oh, where did Cirroc go? I do think it works for Culber though. He feels like the nurturer on the ship, and he does it Culber well. And he fills that role, and aptly so. He is the medical professional on the ship. And so he would be nurturing and supportive of everyone while they're in pain or bleeding or,
Yeah, we haven't seen Dr. Pollard yet this season, right? Well, here's hoping. What were you saying, Cirroc?
No, I was thinking about Culber when he was kind of tending to everybody on the bridge. And I thought that was a little awkward because, it's like, hey, we're in the middle of a life or death situation and you're worried about this bruise on my chin.
That's his
that was
job.
Kind of
I will fight to the death to defend Culber. that's his job. He's a nurturer. He's out there. He's like, okay, you guys go save the galaxy. I'm going to save your chin.
And I like that. And I like that. That the nurturer, he is the nurturer, and I like that the nurturer is a male, because it's usually left to the woman to fill that role. It was Gates's character, and my brain is who was that on well, and Troy was that as well.
And we talked about this before, though, Melissa. And one of the things that's weird about it. No. I mean, you mentioned the moments that they choose, the timing of the moments. Oh. They were in the middle of this whole black hole, crazy, like it's about to go down, and that's not the time to have Culber being the administrator of psychological help to Burnham at that time. How we choose to live our lives. You can't talk like that in this exact one. This is like where the ship's going down. All hands on deck.
That's moment. True. There'd be a lot of bad words being thrown around. There'd be a lot of fuck this, fuck that shit. Rather than words. I know I would be like, I wouldn't even be talking in complete
timing
sentences.
Is important. Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of timing, did you guys notice Cirroc and what is the president of the Vulcans' name? What was her name? The president of Navarre.
I love her. I don't remember her name,
anyway,
but
so
what a presence
she has. They exchanged a look again.
Amazing.
They exchanged a look. There's a little zipping and zapping going between them. A little, at the very least, a mutual respect for each other that they seem to not give to other people. There's that's a holdover from the third season.
Yes.
And I look forward to and hope that there will be more scenes between the two of them, because all we've gotten so far in 2 episodes is a look. But I'm hoping we get to see more things between them, because there was something really good there in that third season. A lot of people were saying, whoa, what's going on with the Kelpian and the Vulcan?
Yes.
So
we'll
see.
That would be awesome. I approve that.
Also, very quickly, Dr. Soong and Picard got NAMs. Those are non-appearance mentions. Everybody at home, we believe that people get their stories continued, even if the actor is not actually on set in front of the camera. And so we think that people deserve to get a little bit of credit, that if their character gets a non-appearance mention, so we like to point those out. Captain Picard got a NAM, and Dr. Noonien Soong got, well, no, it wasn't. It was Alton Soong, I believe, in Picard. So that was really interesting. I
just want to say that I think that Grudge should be nominated for an Emmy for the performance that Grudge gave during this episode, just staying right there on the console, keeping his mark.
And then when
she is a queen.
Facing the camera.
Yeah.
When Stamets tried to touch her, she started growling. It's like, Book was like, no, don't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So we've only got a few minutes left here. Is it safe to say, Melissa, that Grudge is your favorite character?
Not really. I have a few favorite characters, actually, and I'm only tough on things that I enjoy and think have a lot of potential. So it's not, it's not a slight on the show. It's just, I want it to succeed. I want it to be good, and I think it can be, because they have the pieces in place to do that, and an amazing cast of actors and very talented people, and I want the best for them. So,
my favorite characters: Cirroc, Culber, and the bridge crew. Those are mine. And I had 2 others that have both died, so I was pretty sad about that. That was Commander Landry in the first season, and it was Lieutenant Nan in the second and third season. I was kind of bummed and I liked Arium a lot too, but Discovery likes to be like, oh, you like him, do you? You like this character? Well, guess what we're gonna do to you.
My favorite characters are Cirroc and Book, and
Book is turning. I do think that Book is turning into, and to me, he feels like the Han Solo of the show, because he's kind of his own kind of guy. He's kind of roguish. He's got his own ship that's really cool. You know, I really think that he's settling into the Han Solo role, and I like it. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I guess Grudge is Chewbacca.
No.
Good call.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Any final thoughts?
I like Mary Weissman. I think she's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Tilly is a very natural character. Her acting is so effortless, and I like to watch her kind of, just throw it around. I think she delivered one line that was so amazing. I didn't even write it down, but I remembered it, the way she delivered it. It's just the way she kind of threw it away. But I also like, I like the job that Sonequa was doing as far as carrying this show, because it is difficult to carry this show, considering they're not giving them so much in-depth stuff plot-wise, more just action adventure. So I give her credit for trying to make the most out of whatever she's been given. And she does have a lot of subtle things that I like, that she does a lot in her eyes. A lot of the facial expressions and looks that she gives, she's really good at conveying her feelings. So if she's frustrated, she'll let you know. She'll let you know. Yeah, she's really good at.
She's no wallflower.
Yeah, so I like the texture she puts on her performance as well. So.
I do think that's cool. That also, Mary Wiseman, she was the first person in the first season whose acting really stood out to me, where I was immediately like, wow, this girl can act the shit out of that role. So glad you brought her up too, because not just the character, but the actress is also killing it. Yeah, she's absolute natural. Great. So we do have to run, but before we go, we do want to give a very special thanks to Carmen, aka Skillet, TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arucan. There it is. Yvette Blackmon, Homer Frizzell, Eve England out in Wales, and Marie Segal, the doctor, Titus Mohler, Tim Baum, Dr. Susan B. Gruner, John Mann, Darlena Marie, and Rex A. Wood. Thank you all very much. Melissa, thank you for joining us. And everybody at home, always remember the 7th rule.